Hi guys, welcome back to another video. Obviously it's going to be an e36 video, right? So today I have an e36, it's a compact, it was a 1.8, we are putting an m54 in it. So today I'm going to show you guys how to wire up an m54 into a e36. First of all, things you want to keep off the 1.8 engine, you want to keep the full engine loom, and you want to keep the wire off the starter. Obviously this is going to put battery power to the starter so it's constant live, but also leaves you the ring for to put on the relay box for to power the car. So as always, we always keep the 1.8 loom. Alright, and what you want off this loom is the X20 plug, the fuel pump relay. So you're welcome to go ahead and just cut that there. Right, so you're going to cut this loom here, and you'll be left with something like this. So we've got fuel pump relay, which needs a constant live, a switched live, and then an earth trigger, which we're going to give it from the e36 relay, but we're going to cover that just shortly. We're going to go to the table in a minute and just depin what's not needed on the rest of these. And the reason I say cut it there is so you can leave the tails nice and long. So you've got nice, like, long wiring to deal with. If you cut it right short, it's going to be a riot. Right, so we'll get into that in a second. But what I did notice was, in this car, because it's from, what is it, it's 2000, where's the date, where's the build date? The car is from the year 2000, right? So this car actually has CAN. So if you look at this loom that we just took off it here, that's an e46 ECU. So pretty sure, obviously it's a cable throttle engine, right? So I'm pretty sure by the time I cut all the nonsense off of this can run an M52 TU later, but I'm going to save this one for another video. I currently have 3 cars here right now which have basically an E46 ECU. So I'm going to dissect this later and just check it out, but this is almost going to be a plug and play thing for an M57 184 if you just add the 6 pedal wires, and then the wiring's technically done for you by the time you get rid of all the rubbish. So I'm going to put this to the side right now. Also, when you've took out the E46 engine, you know you need to take the relay box and everything with it as well. So I've already took all this wiring off the relay box because we can't fit this in the E36. And what I've done, I've just put some loom tape on some of the wires so it's tidy. Don't worry about this bit, this is for the O2 sensors. The ECU we have has O2 delete, so I'm not cutting the wires off it, I've just taped them up so they're going to just sit down the back of the engine out the way. Right, so we don't need to do nothing with that right now, so I'm just going to leave it sitting here. What I will show you is the E46 stuff. So again, when you take the engine out of the E46, you want long wires with it. So this one's like reverse lights and a switched live, which gives you 12 volts when you've put the key on. This one's like start wire, power to alternator, oil light, start signal feedback and battery light, and this one is just constant 12 volt for to feed the relay. Again, leaving them nice and long. And the E46 part of the loom, again, nice long tails to work with. And you know me guys, I like a full uncut pedal wire. But if you guys need to cut the pedal wire, just make sure, well, if you go to a car and you cut this there, if you go into the inside of the car and you cut that there, technically these are colour to colour. You're yellow to yellow, white to white, brown green to brown green, brown red to brown red, yellow green to yellow green, and white green to white green. But just be careful on that one. And then we're going to take this over and depin that and show you what you're going to do with it. I have diagrams there. You know me guys, I always, any diagram that I've used, I always put in a Google Drive, and the link is in the description of the video for you guys to get it. So I'm going to take you to the table, show you how to depin. We'll start with the E36 part of the loom first. So I'll stop the video here and I'll go to the table and I'll show you how we're going to depin this next part. Right guys, so we're at the bench with the X20 plug with the tails, right? I have my, well, it's not a diagram, it's a pinout of what's used and what's not, right? So technically we don't want anything from 1 to 9. This car, the engine that's in this car is automatic, right? So it doesn't have the reverse, it doesn't have reverse on the actual engine loom. So, and it's just a drift car, so I'm going to miss this part, right? But you guys want to keep pin 10, right? So we need 10, 11, 12, 13, 15, 17 is OBD. You pretty much need everything that's labelled here in blue. We're going to actually keep 15 as well. It was just this is a starter relay unloader. So when you turn the car over, you know when you go to start a BMW, say you start putting the windows down and you actually start the car, the windows stop going down. That's the starter relay unloader. It's turning off all the other relays so the starter gets the maximum power to turn the car over, right? So what we're going to do here, we're going to get X20 plug. If you look inside here, you see this small ring in the middle here. So if you see this here, right, there's a little tab in there. So you've got to turn it anti-clockwise to unlock it and then clockwise to lock it, or it snaps. It's just like a snap. So I'll go a bit closer for this, right? See this here? That. Next you're going to unlock the pins. Or maybe I've already unlocked it. Is it locked? No. That's it. It snaps unlocked, right? And it'll snap locked again. So that's it unlocked, right? We want to do wee toothpick tool. And if you look close enough, you can read the numbers in here, right? But if you're not sure on the number, just double check on the diagram what colour you should be looking for. So if we start with number 1, right? Number 1 is empty. Right, number 3 should be, it's like violet with blue. So if you're unsure, right, so I don't have like 1, 2 and 3 is empty, so I'm going for 4. And 4 corresponds with black with blue, which as you can see here, 4 black with blue. So we've got to get rid of that. So what you do is just go to 4 here, put that in, and just, there you go, that's it. Right, so we've got to get rid of 4 and so forward. We've got to go to 5 next. Again, we're going to use it. I'll zoom the camera back out. We've got to go to 6. And 7 is a mobiliser. We're not using that. We don't have an 8. We don't have a 9. This doesn't have 10. This must have come from an automatic, right? So straight away we're going to go here. 11 and 12, yes. 13. 13 fuel pump relay, yes. 14 is not used. We'll get rid of that, which is black and white. 15 is starter relay unloader, yes, using it. Right, 16 is yellow white, which is for diagnostics. We've not got to use that, we've got to use the white purple one. I think that's everything we need from there. We'll find 17. 16, sorry, 16. Yeah, what else? I don't need 22. 22. I'm going to get rid of 22. This is a switched live. You guys can keep it if you need it for switching stuff on, right? So you've got to go ahead and just pull them out. So already we're less wires, right? So why I took 22 out there, 22 is a switched live, right? But it's only putting power to, you know, the round diagnostic plug that's on the driver's side of the car in the engine bay. It's only putting power to that, right? But when I first took this loom off, this pin 21, which is switched 12 volt and ECU power, this had, like you can see, this is a thick wire, right? I've seen some of these that have one thick wire and 2 small greens, right? This one had one thick wire coming out here, joining to another thick wire, and then a small green. So I went and cut it off yesterday, and I soldered a second green to it. So technically, when I put the key on, I have means to switch two things on, because that wire's too fat, but it can obviously power these two fine. So I've took it upon myself to go and do that. So that's us done with that. So I'm just going to snap this ring back shut, and that's that done. And if you're wondering what's like how do you identify the fuel pump relay? Well, the fuel pump relay comes from pin 13, right, and it's green with a purple stripe. So this is the power to the fuel pump. Yeah, the fuel pump in the tank. This is what powers it. So again, like understanding a relay has a constant live, which is always a straight red. The switched live is red with a white line, and the ECU triggers an earth to the relay to demand power. When it has all these three things, power, switched live, and the earth, it then puts power to the auxiliary being the fuel pump. So that's that part covered, and that's that bit ready to go. So we can plug it into the car. We've got to tuck the ECU in the hole, and we're going to put the ECU in the hole, the battery tray in, and then work around what we've got sitting. You don't want to make a loom on the bench and then find out it's too short, or too short is no good. Too long is alright because it can be hidden. So that's that part covered. Also, what I have done, because an e36 is a 2-pin temp sensor and a 36 is a 4-pin temp sensor. So I always put the e36 temp sensor in it and wire up a couple of wires, but we'll cover that part when we go closer to the car, right? I'm just trying to cover what we pin and depin right now. So I'm going to get the e46 part of the loom and show you what we depin on that. And we'll be down to bare minimum wires. Okay, so now I have the e46 part of the loom which I've cut off, right? And first things first, what I'm going to do, you know how I have all these pedal wires sitting, right? These pedal wires all go into one plug here. And the way I wire these cars up, I usually take the pedal wire off because it's got to go through the car from the pedal, through the back of the glove box and into the ECU. So I always just take these wires out. So there's two wee tabs in here. If there's a tab there, if you push that up and pull the wires, it basically slides out of there. See it? There's a wee tab there that catches that wee notch there. When you lift it up, you can pull the wire out. So right now, I'm going to go ahead and just depin my pedal wires to get them out of the way. One, it's going to look like less wires. Honestly, the wires that's used on this ECU is like, it's unreal how easy it is to get this thing running, right? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to depin them, but when it comes to you guys doing this, please just write down that like the straight yellow come from pin 9, straight white was pin 8, right? The brown green is pin 7. And on the other side, the wire colours are the same, but they have a green line on them. So it's that 11 to 20. So pin 12 is brown. I'm sure that brown, if you look at it hard enough, it's like brown with a small red stripe, right? And then, no, that's pin 12. So pin 13 is white with green. Pin 14 is yellow with green. Right, so what we're going to do here, if you look inside there, see that there's a small tab there. You push that down, you can basically just push that down and pull the wire out. Sometimes you have to push it down twice because it gets caught in this second wee gap. Sorry, I'm going to take that out. Just make a note of where it come from. Again, it's only got to be on the pedal, so if you do it, put it back in the wrong hole, just double check it, write it down. Right, so there's a throttle pedal off, right? So we just got to put it off the table so we're not confusing anybody with wires. Right, so on this grey plug, all we're left with, and we've still got depin stuff here. Right, by the look of it, no, it's actually right. I thought this was the wire to power it up and it was going to be different. Right, so pin 10, we're going to keep pin 10 because this is going to be what I said on the e36 loom. This is going to be what's going to trigger the relay to bring fuel when the key is on. This has got to be the earth trigger to the relay. Once you give the relay its constant live, switched live, this is its switched earth. Once the ECU wakes up, it puts an earth out this wire to wake up that, right? What else we got? So that's pin 10, 20, 19, 18, pin 17, that's RPM, I'm sure. Yeah, it says engine speed signal on here. Engine speed, but it's RPM, so there's your RPM wire. And then what we got here on pin 1, 2, 3, pin 4. Pin 4 is electric cooling fan, which we don't use. Like you guys are going to be shocked with how many wires you actually don't use here. So there's the connector which holds the 6 pedal wires. So you've got 6 pedal wires, fuel pump trigger, pin 10, and RPM, pin 17. Right? And then we'll get the black side of the plug out. Again, I'm just going to throw this off the table, right? We've got to then extract this black plug. Just got to lift this tab and try and do this. I'm trying to look around the camera when I'm doing it. Excuse me. Right, just put that to the side. Right, on this one, we're pretty much going to get rid of everything except OBD, the pin to wake up the ECU, which is green purple, the same as that fuel pump wire. And these two blue, we've got a blue and grey and a blue and red. This is for clutch switch and the brake test signal. Right, so if you have an e36, right, if the MAF is dead, it doesn't let you left foot brake. Right, if the MAF is good, it'll let you left foot brake. So when you put in an e36, if you don't take these two wires and earth them off the chassis, the ECU side of the chassis, the car is only going to rev when it has a good MAF. So technically, if you got an e46 and it has a bad MAF, you want a left foot brake, you're going to come to pin 28 and cut that and do nothing with it. And then this pin 23 and 24, if you cut these and earth the ECU side off the chassis, it's going to left foot brake whether you have a good MAF or a bad MAF, right? So I'm just going to start depinning stuff and I'll tell you what pins we're left with. So we're going to get rid of CAN wires because we're not using CAN bus. Even though that chassis is CAN bus, I'm not using it. It's just a drift car. Something again that we can cover on a later date. So there's 2 wires gone. We have pin 33 here as well, which is next to the OBD wire at pin 32. This is for a mobiliser, but we have a demobilised ECU, so we're not going to use that, guys. The wires, that's no needed. I've just tangled all these wires. Why are they twisting together? I know some of you guys have got to be sitting there saying that you hate wiring, but Jimmy used to hate wiring as well. I actually love wiring now, like, really do. It's a nice wee chill job. As long as you get peace to do it, I always tell the girlfriend, like, don't phone me today, I'm doing wiring. Don't need that aircon. You know, using aircon as a drift car. You stay in Scotland, it's not hot enough for that shit. Right, so 28, this is your brake test switch, or the brake test signal, whatever. So we're going to get rid of that. And then what we're left with here, what is this one? 25, what's 25? It says we shouldn't have a 25. That's actually 27. Steering wheel. Rubbish. So look at that. On the black plug, you're left with pin 26, right, which is waking up the ECU. Pin 32, which is OBD wire, which we're going to connect to the X20 plug, which is the same colour. Right, then we have the brake and clutch switch, which we're just going to put an eyelet on them and earth them off the chassis. So straight away it looks less scary, doesn't it? So you can put that back in there. I'll put the grey one back in. Where did I put it? So, you ready for this? A grand total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 wires, plus your 6 pedal wires. Right, there's 12 wires ECU related, alright? I'm going to put that to the side, and I'm going to show you what's next. So from the other plugs in the e36 engine bay, we have, right, I'll go through one at a time, right? The 4-pin wire, which has green, white, blue, yellow and red, white, right? What these do, this is a switched live to the reverse switch on the gearbox, right? And this is the switch to turn the lights on. So technically when you put your car in reverse, these 2 wires touch and that brings on the reverse lights. When you take out reverse, these 2 wires don't touch and then no reverse lights. So like I says, this car I'm not going to do nothing with it because the engine we have is from an automatic, so it doesn't have the reverse thing, the reverse part of the loom for that, right? Also, it's a drift car, so I'm no fussy. So what I'm going to do here, and what you guys can do here, if you have reverse, so when you put the key on and you wake up the main relays, which is on that relay box over there, when you wake up the main relays, this red white becomes 12 volts. You don't give this 12 volts, this gives you 12 volts. So technically, what you could do is you could just put this to there, because that's switched live, and then that's going to go to the X20, which is yellow blue anyway. You know what I mean? But I'm not going to use these, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you how to depin this. I'm only going to use this, I'm going to use the switched live only on this. So if you look here, there's a wee bit covering this so you can't, I'm going to go back to change the zoom, sorry. There's a wee bit here, bit of toothpick in there. Pull that back. Last time I've done this I stabbed myself, but let's see how we go. I'm going to sit it down and just, there we go. So you just pull that back. Right, so I've just pulled that back. It's like a wee box. Just like a wee letterbox thing, right? So again, if you look inside here, there's a tab there that you push down and the pin comes out. So I just want to keep red, so I'm going to push the tab down and get rid of, again, it's like the ECU, so you might have to push it down in that part, then in that part to get rid of the pin. There's that one gone. There's that one gone. Right, so I'm going to want one wire off that. So this is the stuff from the relay book, right? And this plug to here, the 4-pin plug. So as I said, come on man, plug in man, don't be like that. Don't be that guy. Yeah, so as I said, when you wake up the ECU with the pin 26, right, it brings on this main relay. If you follow the wiring for the main relay, it actually puts power out this. This would usually go inside the car to power the fuel pump relay and the aircon relay. Okay, so that's that done. And there's what's going to be a constant live. So now we've got to go to the 8-pin plug, which I have. I just had it, where did I do it? Hello? Too many wires, too many wires. 8-pin plug. Right, so I've already took one wire out of this, and it was it's just same deal. It just says instead of like cutting a wire, you can just depin it because it's not going to be used. So what we have here, I'll try and read the pin numbers as we go. What's that? 1, 1 to 4. Pin 1, the fat black wire, start signal. Pin 2 is going to get a switched live. Let me just double check that. Shoot, the fat one was the switched live. Yes, right. So pin 1, the thickest wire, right? Black. It's going to go to the starter wire, which will be the thickest wire on the X20 plug, but it's not just straight black. It's black and yellow, but look at the size of the wires. It's going to match, right? Pin 2 is going to get a switched live. Right, that switched live has got to be for the alternator and the oil level sensor. So when the oil level, like this shares a wire on the engine room, right? So when you put power to this and then you start the car, that in turn puts off the battery light on the clocks, which is blue, which is pin 4. Pin 3 is oil pressure, which is going to go to the X20 plug. And on the other side, we have start feedback, which has got to be a colour match, black and green, to the black and green on pin 15 on the X20. I've only done away with one wire here. It was in one of these, and it was for like the oil level sensor signal. We're not using that, so I've depinned one from here. So we've got 5 wires here. So that covers that part. Again, every diagram that I've used, I will put on. I put a link in the description in Google Drive sort of thing, and you guys can download the documents. Every bit of paperwork I have here right now, I need to make a couple of new ones because I've written on them. This is one that I use for if I put a MS43 ECU into a, like say a 1.8 e36, it's like 53 plate, like 2003 onwards. It has the two plug ECU. This is the diagrams to do that. This is from the diagram from N46 to M54 video that I've done. Right, so next to do is what I've done here. So every bit of wiring that come along here, right? So there was like a grommet on here where it would have sat in the ECU box. I've cut the grommet off, and I've just loom taped it up here so it's nice. Same with the coil pack loom. I've cut the grommet off it with a Stanley, and I've just loom taped it so it's nice. And what I have done here, like I say, I have the 1.8 battery terminal onto the starter. I've done away with the big fat live that come off here and went to there. If you're rear wheel drive, if you're already 6-cylinder, sorry, and your battery is in the back of the car, then you're fine just to leave that and take it over to there, right? But this is just an easy way for me to power up the relay box, which is right there. Also, what I've done, I have put the 4-pin temp sensor in it, and I've put a plug on this side because this is going to plug in and connect to my X20. I don't want that to be solid, because if you go to take the engine away later, you have to cut wires to take the engine away. I don't like that, so I put a 2-pin plug on it, which I'll cover that part in a bit. I do have a diagram for when you cut the 2-pin temp sensor off, the way the wires go. Obviously 2 of them go to the ECU and 2 of them go to the X20 plug. That's so the 2 that go to the ECU, so the ECU knows the temp, and then the 2 you want to take this for the clock, so you know the temp. You can use E46, but you need to tap into a different ECU plug. So again, when you go to take the engine away, you've got a wire to cut and it's untidy. And when you use the E46 one, it's not as accurate as using E36. So what I'm going to go now, and I'm going to like put my ECU in the hole, tuck all the wires away, plug in my X20 plug. Just once I'm happy with the wiring, then we'll make a move and start doing wiring. Okay, so as you can see here, I stuffed the ECU in the hole. The way I've routed this wire, the engine side of the wiring, I've routed it under the throttle body and then up to here. I've got everything plugged in. I want all my wires to stay in there. I don't want any plugs outside of here. Okay, so I'm going to put the ECU cover on here. Basically, you want everything in place before you go doing any wiring and stuff. I'll put that on. I'll put 2 bolts in it just to hold it. Seen that one bolt would probably do it. Right, let's just put 2 anyway. No, I'll do that one later. Just make sure that you're not actually jamming any wires. Right, so we've got 2 bolts in there. So here we have the constant live. This is the 4-pin plug with only 1 pin that we're using. ECU plug, ECU plug, ECU plug. What have I got here? ECU. That's everything from the ECU in that part. And this one is from the 8-pin plug where we've got start. That is start. Power to alternator, oil light. I've mixed one of them up to battery light. So here, ECU plug, 8-pin plug, 4-pin plug, and constant live. We've still got to add an earth, if you can see in here. You know the eyelet for the earth. I'm going to leave that inside there, but I'm going to extend the earth from here. Oh, you can see that in the camera. Yeah, I'm going to extend an earth from here into here later, and I'm going to the 2 wires here. These really shouldn't be out here because they're really got to go back inside there and just stay inside the box and get earthed. So we'll put these up there just so we can keep on top of what's going where and what wires is what. I don't want to confuse you guys. Yeah, I could literally do this job without a diagram, but I'm going to try and keep it as like up to spec as possible so you guys can keep on top of it. I want you guys to be confident in what you're doing. So now, I'll take my X20 plug. I'm going to plug that X20 plug in. Which always seem to sit at a stupid angle. Plug the X20 plug in, take my relay, untangle it for all the nonsense, and hang my relay up where the relay should go. There, click the relay up, and then these have got with the relay wires here, right? So now I've got X20 here to then start wiring into here and here. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to put the battery tray in place. We'll put the battery tray in place. I'll probably not put the battery in because I just need to know where I've got to work around. Like I said, you don't want the wires to be too short. Being too long is fine because they can just I made one before that was a little too long, so I ended up just wrapping this right round in a circle before it went into there. It's fine. If you make it too short, you're basically doing it again. So too long is better than too short, guys, alright? We've got to set the battery tray in. I might put one bolt in it. What do you even do with the battery tray? Put the battery tray in. People ask me to make these looms all the time, but I don't like making people looms, like to say, but you bring me the car, I'll make a loom on the car. But making a loom without having the car in front of you, like you could run into all sorts of issues. So it's like I don't make looms for people unless you bring the car to me. I won't make looms to send to someone, just the same reason. I like the car to be in front of me, and obviously if the car starts at the end and revs and blah blah blah, my job is done. So I'm just going to tuck all these X20 wires through there. And then basically what I'm going to do, I'll just pick a wire here, match up to here and start soldering, and that starts getting you a length. And what I like to do is say we started with the starter wire, right? I'll get a length here, just say right, we'll make that length. So by the time I solder that, when I go to take the next wire, I'll make the solder, I'll stagger the solder, because if you solder every wire at the same length, by the time you go to loom tape that, it's going to be a big bump here in the loom. So I like to kind of stagger the solders. This is the idea with leaving the wires too long. If you solder that there and solder the one next to it, by the time you go to loom tape that, it's like a big ball in the loom. So I'm going to get the soldering iron out and just set that up, and then we'll go to town and I'll start calling a wire number and saying what it is, where it goes, and we'll go from there. Okay, so as you can see, I changed my mind about the battery tray, alright? Only because I was checking the length of these wires that was for the fuel pump relay. I was going to connect them first because they seem to be my shortest wires, but the wires that's going to come out to meet them are long enough, so that's fine. I'm just going to leave that. So fuel pump relay wires tucked away. I think I'm going to concentrate on ECU wires first. But first of all, see these two blue ones. We've got a blue red and a blue grey, which is for the ones that I'm going to earth. I'm going to leave them tucked out the way. So we've got power to fuel pump, the power to wake the ECU, OBD wire, the trigger for the fuel pump relay. We also have the RPM wire, and then that means that wire goes with that. So we've got 4 to connect from the ECU right now. So I'm going to go ahead, I need switch live first for this. So my switch live was for pin 21. Pin 21 was, remember that fat wire that I showed you in there, which had 2 straight solid greens off it. So there's 1 and there's 2. So that can switch 2 different things on. And what I like to do here is pull this wire right back to the end so it's not tangled with anything else. So I'm just going to so you keep it under the battery tray, bring it up to here, get a kind of rough length. Cut that one there, throw that away, and we'll just make a cut in this one here. Right, so first connection. This has got to be pin 26 on the new ECU and pin 21 on the X20. What I usually do, I'll usually maybe twist 4 or 5 wires together, and then I'll go back and solder the 4 or 5 wires. I always just solder a few at a time. What I like to do in soldering as well is I'll put the 2 wires together, make an X so that they're overlapping each other by half, and just twist one way and one the other way. Right, so there's the first connection, and that's going to, you basically want all the wires to be round about this length, but you want them to, with one soldered there, you want the next one there, just and so forth. Right, so there's power ECU. Now we want the OBD wire, which is white purple. So you want to pull the white purple out of here, pull the wire away back so it's not twisted or tangled with anything else. That's white green, white purple. Get this, if you just pull on the green wire at the same time, Cut that one there. So this is white purple from the X20 plug. It's pin 17, and from the new ECU it's pin 32. Yeah, pin 32. So this is the pin 32 side, and in my hand is pin 17 on the X20 plug. This means later when you wire up the OBD port inside the car, you're going to get to read the chassis codes and the engine codes all in one, because what I've noticed is if you buy a loom off the loom guys, which is doing the adapter loom, the OBD port, it doesn't read chassis codes. Right, so again, just pull this wire pretty tight with this one, see where it goes here, and then make this one be the same length. So we want to cut that there. Right, so there's two done, you see what I mean? Solder there, so they're not all getting soldered at one point. Right, so next we will take RPM wire, which is pin 17 on the ECU, and it's pin 20 on the X20 plug. The wires are a colour match, black to black. So you've got to go down to the X20 and find straight black, which you only have one straight black. The other one's black and green, which we'll get to that one shortly. Again, just pull your wires tight, see where that would suit to go. We'll go there with that one. And don't ever forget your heat shrinks. So find my black here. Right, so the last one to do on the ECU part, apart from the two that's to get an earth, which we're going to earth in there on this eyelet that I showed you, we're going to earth that along with the earth that we're going to put here. So basically I've got an earth to go here on the resonant eyelet. It's going to come underneath, it's going to tuck inside there, it's going to go on here with an eyelet on these two as well. So that's going to take care of itself in there, so don't worry about that part, we're going to get to it. Right, so the fuel pump relay trigger, what it's going to be on the fuel pump relay, it's a brown and green wire. So again, same thing, you just want to come down, follow the wire and round. Just pull your wires slightly tight so you can get a length. We're here with that, so we want to be, cut this about there. Fuel pump trigger, pin 10 on the ECU, and it's pin 85 on the relay. Now once I connect this one, we'll solder what's there and we'll move on. Right, so 40 solder, I need to grab my lighter, 2 seconds. I love the way the solder just flows through the wire. When you have like nice clean wire, solder just flows clean on it. One, two, three, four. Four done. Well, this is when you've got to tell me my lighter's going to pop, eh? One minute, guys, I've got to pause this. I need to put a flint in my lighter. Trust it to do this now. So I can go come straight back to the exact same point. I've just got to put a flint in my lighter. Sorry, we fixed. Right, you see where we're going with this then? We're ticking boxes. Ticking boxes. Right, so that's everything on these Hue done, except the pedal, the brake and clutch switch, which is going to get earthed in there, so we'll just tuck that out of the way so it doesn't confuse you guys, and we'll move on. So all that's left to do on the relay, I'm going to put an eyelet on this and put it on the top of the battery when the battery's here. Right, this needs to get a switch live, so let's just take care of that right now as well. So I'm just going to do the same thing. I'm going to pull that round here so it's the same length as the rest of the wires, and this has got to be the one that's for this red and white. So let me just cut that there. This is the red and white from the 4-pin plug in there, which I'm not using the reverse stuff. Remember that plug, the 4-pin plug in there? It doesn't matter as well, right? I'm probably got to do it right now. We've probably got to overlap one or two solders, right? But you just don't want, if you've got 20 connections to make, you don't want 20 connections to be in the one bit, because when you go to wrap the loom, it's going to look messy. Trust me, from experience, I've done it. It's no nice. I know you don't see the loom, but I know it's done like that. It's no nice. Yeah, I'm actually just going to solder this one straight away right now as well with my solder. Lovely. Okay. We're keeping the length of the wire the same. Right, next, so we're going to go to the 8-pin plug now. So we've got to take the black and green. I can't remember which plug number it is. In fact, give me a minute because I have another piece of loom here so I can tell you the pin number as we go. Right, so we're onto this plug, the 8-pin plug, right? So the black and green, which we've got to connect, is pin 6, right? So pin 6 is black and green from the 8-pin plug, and it's going to go to pin 15, which is also black and green on the X20. Again, find your wire, pull it out of the tangle, and get yourself a length and just roll with it. Again, it might still look messy now. Wait till you see it at the end. Wait till you see this at the end. Be tidy. So I know that black one is quite long, so I'm going to cut this one right short so this solder is staggered away at the right. So again, pin 15, X20, pin 5 on, I can't remember what that plug's called, but it doesn't matter. It's the 8-pin plug, right? We're just talking about the 8-pin plug. No matter what it's called the 8-pin plug to us. Again, I'm just going to solder it right now. Actually bought, I've invested in a electric soldering iron, because that gas one I use, it's a gas guzzler. Sometimes it takes ages to warm up. It's okay, Matt. Most of the time I do soldering, I do it in the garage, but if I need to go out and do soldering, I will take the gas one. I need to take an actual tin of gas with me as well. Right, so that's start feedback done, and again, look, wires all kept to a nice length. So let's just pull out another one. Here's another one to get switched live, which is pin 2. Pin 2 on the 8-pin plug, that's what I've got in my right hand, and that needs a switch live, so I'm going to find the second pin 21. Remember, we've got pin 21 times 2 because we put 2 greens on it to power 2 different things. This is going to power the next thing. So, like this. Let me just say, cut that there. And what this is doing, this is putting power to one of the pins on the alternator. Also, it powers up the oil level sensor as well. So when you put power on, the battery light comes on when that's connected, and when the alternator spins and makes the correct RPM and starts putting 14 volts back to the car, it will switch off the battery light via here, via the blue wire, which we'll do next. Right, so that, and there's that yellow, that green that I just had in my hand. Hello. This one. Again, I'll just solder it. Nice. Right. Next one, we'll go for, let's just take the blue one. Right, blue one is battery light. The other half of the battery light, because we're just in the first half. So that's pin 4 on the 8-pin plug, straight blue, and it's pin 25 on the X20, again straight blue. Just do what I say, just pull the wire back to it's just calling it the X20 plug. Get yourself a length, see where it's going to go somewhere nice. Here with that one. solder it as we go now. So there's the battery light done. Right, next on that one we'll do oil white, which is green and brown. You've not got to believe this, it goes to green and brown on the X20 plug. So green and brown on here, that pin's actually missing, right, but I can tell you it's pin 3 on the 8-pin plug, right, which is going to go to pin 23 on the X20, which is green and brown. I'm actually going to have to check that because it looks like 23. On this one it's actually brown. It's actually brown with a grey trace, but on this it does show as being brown green. This is brown grey for some reason, but I'm not sure exactly where this loom comes from. Just confirm that's in pin 23, which it is. Get us a length. There somewhere, that'll be fine. So 23x20, pin 3, 8-pin plug. Yeah boy. The heat shrink over that too fast, it shrunk a bit. You can maybe still trick it, yes. Right, so that leaves us big fat starter wire, that can go away. I've got 2 for temp, which I'm going to come to in 1 minute. Because remember, I'm doing temp to this plug. And it's really to kind of get a length to where we go to plug into this plug that I already have here for that. Also, we have this pin 19 data link service reset. This is on an e36. Basically, when you've got the OBD port on that side, we need to reset the clocks. Basically, you're going to come out and you're going to touch this off on earth, and that's going to reset the service on the clocks. So I'm going to just trim this down to that size. I'm going to tape it up into the loom, but leave it so you can just grab the wire at one point and just come and earth this here, which is going to reset the service light. Right, so let's just go straight to starter wire now. Yeah, then that's it. Starter wire, 2 wires for temp, 1 for service reset, and that's the X20 part done, except the temperature. So I think this one, it's a bigger wire. I'm going to leave it a bit longer. Well, what do we here? check the length of my wires. If anyone's going to make it bulk up, it's going to be this one, so I think I'm going to just trim a tiny bit off of that. I think also because this is a thick wire, I'll put 2 heat shrinks on it. Bigger ones as well. Way bigger than that. Just to be sure. Right, so if you made it this far in the video, guys, I appreciate the commitment. You guys are obviously here to get the job done. There's no more satisfaction in a job than telling all your friends that you've done it yourself. Fair enough, you got some help for Jimmy on the YouTube, but we're all here to learn stuff. I learned a lot of stuff on YouTube. I've learned a lot of stuff just by experimenting myself with BMWs and that, and I like to give back. I like helping people. I like to be helpful. And in turn, that means people should really be helpful to you as well if you be helpful to them. Not that I need help with anybody, but it's nice to be nice. It's good to give back. So what I've done with that one, that heat shrink clip, I've made it sit more on the black cable than the black and yellow, but I've put it enough on the solder, right, so this one will do the same. I'll keep it on this side of the cable, just so it's like doubled up where the solder is there. Right, so that's everything done on the X20 that I need except the coolant temp, right? So let's just, and then I'm just left with constant live. I'm going to put both these in the battery because I don't have an eyelet that fits on this M8 terminal, so I'm going to put them both on the M6, but I'm going to put them on separate eyelets and they'll go to the top of the battery because the battery has this M6 bolt here, so one will come for that way and one will come for this way, and that will take care of that. So I need to just briefly tidy these wires. I need to leave this one hanging out. The red's not to go in there as well because the red's just going to come up and look to here, so we don't want that red to be anything to do with any of the wires that's going to get taped there. These 2 wires, that one can go out the way as well. So what I could do here now, I'm going to untangle these blue brake pedal, clutch pedal thing. What I'm going to do here, I'm going to put a quick loop here, just to tidy the wires, and I can, obviously this wire can go down round the corner here before it actually gets plugged into this when I put my plug on it. So I just want to like briefly put a bit of tape. For 2 seconds, I'm just going to unplug this so I can get this in the right place for me. That starts that part. We will get this cover back on here shortly, but I think it's just because, remember this live that I made be 2 lives, it's just in a funny position, but I think I'll just need to tuck it in there if I manage to pull this right back down and put that cover on, because at the end I'm going to run tape over here too. But as you can see, the wires here, the wire for the relay and that, they're going to cut into here as well, so you need to tape the relay and then make it sit against this nice and tidy as well. So put that in there. Put a quick loop here. And this is the part, right, you can see all the wires haven't been a perfect length, right, but you can practically push them all back in there and make your bit a nice length here without pulling on them too tight. So then I'll just go ahead and put a quick wrap here. So you can see it's looking less scary already. The job's practically done. Right, so let's cover this temp sensor, right? So I've put a 4-pin temp sensor in it. So when you cut the 2-pin temp sensor off it, there's obviously 2 wires here. So 2 of the wires from the new plug that you put on it need soldered to the ECU, and here's the other 2 here. So my colours for temp, right, on the X20 plug, coolant temperature to cluster, right, is brown yellow, coolant temperature to cluster. So I'm sure the brown yellow is the earth for the coolant temperature, right? And I'm sure the brown purple coolant temperature is signal, right? So I didn't have the same colour of wires, but what I do like to do is, so I've went and got one that's yellow and one that's brown, right? So my coolant temperature, which is pin 11, which should be brown yellow, is yellow, right? The one that's for 12, which should be brown purple, is just brown. That's made me know where I'm going to go with this. So when I plug this in, I'm now going to attach, once I get the length of my wires to where I want them to be for to go and hide them, brown yellow is going to go to yellow and brown purple is just going to go to brown. I've noted the colours as I've come along, but I do have a bit written down here from a previous time where I checked this. So details on the 36 4-pin temp sensor. So brown purple, coolant signal to clocks, right, which is pin 1 on the temp sensor. They've got pin numbers, right. Pin 2 is brown yellow, coolant earth to clocks, right. Brown red is coolant signal to ECU, and grey brown is coolant earth to ECU. So this plug that I actually used here, I'm sure it was off an E39. So it was brown red for coolant signal, but it was black brown for coolant earth. Alright, and this tells you what colours you are on. That's diesel, right? Leave that bit because we're on petrol. So a 46 2-pin petrol, red brown is coolant signal to ECU, grey brown is coolant earth. So you've basically got to put red brown on this loom to, you just got to match coolant signal, brown red. So red brown, brown red, they're the same, right? So if you've managed to do brown red to brown red and you find that you're no left with, you know how I said grey brown was grey brown, if you've got grey black because it come off an E39, as long as you have brown red on brown red, it can only be the other one. Know what I mean? Again, I will put this in the diagram for you guys. Just a screenshot of this because this was something that I had to make up myself. I couldn't find any details on it online or that, so I just had to basically go and figure it out myself for you guys, so I could share correct information, really. So all I need to do, I will put my battery tray in now. I need to cut this live down so it goes on the top of here. Cut this down so it goes on the top of there. This has to get put on there. I've got my earths to live inside there, along with add my extra earth, which is to go from the strut tower. That'll get tucked in there. I have to do my temp wires once I get a length for the temp wires, so that so my temp wires plug in, and then I'm just taking the loom off and taping it, after that, I'm just going to take my pedal wire in. I'll take you guys inside the car and show you where I put the pedal wire. It basically goes underneath the heaters. I'll take my pedal wire in through the pedal, in through the back of the heaters, out through the glove box, into here, and then we'll put the pedal wires back in the ECU. So that's how we've kept these wires out of the way, so it looks like less wires, but this is something that you do from inside, so it's irrelevant right now. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to stop the video. I'm going to go ahead and solder I'm going to go and quickly get a length and see where I go with this. I'm going to pull my loom out, tape it up. We're going to earth these. So when I come back, this has got to be earthed. The earth's going to be in the hole. We're just going to take the ECU out, put the pins back in, show you what I've done with the pedal, and then that's it. I'm just going to tape up the loom and that's us finished. So give me 5 minutes. I'll come right back once I've got to the point that I'm happy with. Right, so we're inside the car, right? Here's my pedal wires. I've just fed them along underneath the heater matrix, right? Because this car is an airbag model, right? Usually I take out the glove box and you can take out the, the ducting for this heater here. You can usually take that out and get to a grommet, but because it's got an airbag, I just took it upon myself for it to go, and I've drilled like a 10 or 12 mil hole here, which the ECU is sat against right now, so pedal wires is going to go through there. Okay, we're going to go to the other side. So I have the pedal in place. The plug's already through to this side. So I have the wire here. The wire is here. You bring it through here and keep it tucked behind the carpet so that it can't get like burst or broken by the brake pedal later. I'll clip that in. We're tucking it in and routing it the way it should go as well, so it keeps the wire out of harm's way. Just slide the pedal into place. An e36 pedal does fit into an e36. Done. Just make sure the wires is tucked behind the carpet so that you can't like kill them with a brake pedal or anything like that. That's that part done. So all that I'm left to do now, what I was doing there was took the relay off. I taped the wires on the relay just down to here. That was a nice length. I've taped them up. I've just put a wee loopy tape here there. I've soldered my wire for the temp, so now I can go ahead and tape all this wiring up, leave this part hanging out just so I can plug into the temp sensor here, meaning when you take the engine away later, you're not having to cut wires. This part unplugs. So all I'm left to do now is my constant live to the top of the battery, constant live to the top of the battery, take this long earth inside, from here to the inside, to the eyelet which I showed you guys here. I'm just going to earth that along with the brake and clutch blue wires, and then tape the rest of the loom. We're going to pull the pedal wire through, connect it to the ECU, and that's us done. So I think right now I'm going to go take the ECU out of the hole, tape my wires up, and feed my pedal wire through, and then wire the pedal back up, and then it's pretty much ready for a test fire, I would say. Just to do my finishing touches, I'm only left with an earth, 2 lives, the 2 earths for the clutch and brake switch, and then put the pedal wires back in its correct pins, and then that's me done. So I'm going to take the ECU out right now, feed the pedal wires through, sort my couple of earths, and then I'll start filming, and I'll tell you guys the pedal wires, what I'm doing with the pedal wires basically, and then we'll tidy up inside and talk about the OBD2 port. Right guys, so I've took the loom off. I've come in here, I've tidied up this. There was a couple of wires in here which kind of tangled up, so I've like depinned them for there, and it untangled them so the loom was nice. So this is the stuff that you don't see because it's in the ECU hole. And this part here, this is my earth. I didn't tie these to this part of the loom because it's going to go elsewhere, so I didn't want to have to end up pulling the wires. So now, I'm going to tape from here all the way up to here, but leave this exposed. This can be, I think what I've got in the car is going to reach anywhere I put it, so I'm literally going to start here. Start wrapping. But miss this white green. I'll pull that out and then I'll just tape past it. I should have put this in the vise, like, it's a bit fidgety, but whatever. Done. One loom. All I need to do is earth that, put an eyelet on that for live. I've got another live to put an eyelet on. And what I need to do now is go up and put the pedal wires back in place and tell you guys where to put them. Then I'll put the ECU back in the hole with everything in with the pedal wire connected. I'll do a quick connection of the red wires and then I'll pull them back out and tape them as well, and then I'll show you the end result. Right guys, so here's my loom here that I just made. Okay, I've got the grey plug extracted. I've got my pedal pins through for the glove box, and I've got this other loom here, so I can go by wire colours. So straight yellow is pin 9. Find straight yellow here and then put in 9. Done. Next to that, straight white and 8. Done. Next to that, pin 7 is the brown that's got the wee green line on it. That one. Right, on to the other side. Pin 12 is the other brown, the one that I said has kind of got a wee red line on it. Then you've got the white green next to it. And then the yellow green next to that. Sorted. And then slide him back in there. Right, so all that's left to do now, I'll put the ECU and everything back in there. I've only got my 2 lives to do, and then we can move inside. Oh, sorry, I've got my 2 lives and my earth to put from here into there to attach that, and my earth eyelet there so it actually revs. So I'll time lapse the next bit. I'll put all that away. We'll get it running, and I'll finish my lives shortly, and then we'll go inside the car. Well guys, she runs. All that's left to do is the OBD port, which I've been messing about with. I don't know, it threw me off a bit, but I've fixed it, so we've got to go inside and I've got to show you guys how to do that. But for now, I'll show you it running. Boom, so she runs. So just OBD port left to do here. So I'm going to go inside the car. So this car is EWS3, right? EWS3 has its own OBD port. So I was thinking, by the time I connected everything up, the OBD port was going to work. But get this, it bumped me. So I've just took it upon myself to go and wire up my own OBD port. So I'll try and get you in to see this. What I've done here. See if I can get this to go any further down than it already is. And take it off the zoom. 1 minute, I need to get my Allen key for to adjust it. So yeah, like I said, I connected everything up, went to the OBD port and it's saying no communication. I'm like, what's going on here? It should work. But no. So I took my own OBD port and I wired into the EWS box just like I usually do with a car that's EWS2. So I'm going to go ahead and show you what I've done here. Right, so what you can see the white plug hanging down, that's EWS3. That's the plug for the EWS3, right? The ECU is EWS deleted, so technically you don't need EWS anymore, right? Try and get you in closer here. So I've got EWS plug here. What I've done with it, I've cut the two fattest wires off. That's maybe too bright, that. I've cut the 2 fattest wires off, I've joined them together, I've soldered them, and I've just taped them up here. I know it's a bit hard to see, I actually can't get this camera mount to go any lower. And what I've done, I've put 2 earths in here, so you've got 2 earths on the OBD port, so pin 4 and 5 is earth, right? They go to this brown wire right on the very, very end of the EWS. The red and black, the pin 16 that gets 12 volt power goes to red and yellow here. OBD wire, which is white purple, goes to white purple OBD wire here, and for your switch live, which is green on the OBD port, goes to the blue wire with the green yellow dots. Right, so I'll show you quickly. I just plugged in I've got a wee hand scanner. I never use it. It's just basically lying in my drawer, just to show this connecting, because it wouldn't connect before. I'll try and keep the light off it. I also had to change the clocks in this car as well, because the car's got CAN, the clocks wouldn't work, so I put a set of my own clocks in it. Look, that's as in reading DTCs. So I'm not going to clear them right now, because once I'm finished, I'm going to go in with a laptop on the Delphi and just show you the fact that if I wire an OBD port in here, it's going to let you read the car and the engine, just like I do with M57s. Because when you buy an M54 E36 conversion loom, it does come with an OBD port, right? But it only lets you read the engine. It doesn't give you an OBD port inside the car. Well, it does, but it only lets you read the engine side of it. So it's kind of useless. So if you're chasing like an ABS fault code, how are you supposed to read the car to chase an ABS fault code if you can't read the chassis? The way this is wired up, it's going to let you read the chassis and the engine. So you want to read the engine, you've got to go into the code reader. Say you have like Delphi, you're going to go into it as an E46 with an M54, you've got to read the engine. That's fine. So you come back out, you want to do some chassis codes like just like chasing ABS or stuff, you're going to go into it as whatever the year of the E36 it is. It doesn't matter what engine, because you've got to go into the ABS part of it anyway. Then it's going to show you what wheel speed signal is out, basically. So what I'm going to do here, I know it's a bit, I maybe adjust the camera, right? And say I've got a power bank sat on it, so I can't really put it in a lower, but I'll take the power bank off it so I can put it lower. And as we, just so you guys can see what I'm cutting here, I know it's quite bright here because of this camera as well, because of this torch, but just so I can show you guys exactly what I'm cutting and what I'm joining. And we're basically not going to use the EWS box anymore. As I've said, I've bridged the two fat wires for to make the starter work, so that's good. I'll stop this right now. I'll adjust the camera and then we'll go in, cut these and solder them, and then that's that part. Right, I'm going to quickly throw this in bit before the OBD port part, right? I've done it, right, but I want to show you guys this. So this is my code reader. I have Delphi on my laptop. It's like Chinese clone version of Delphi. So I'm plugged into the OBD port. So right now I'm going to read the car as an E36, right? So it's a 2000 E36. Let's just say, well, I read ABS codes, right? So come in, hit E36. This should be got to let us read the car. There we go. Into read ABS codes, so you can read codes, clear codes, whatever. Right, so it's got a wheel sensor, front, right, whatever, cool. Let's go back out of that. And then when you want to read the engine, I'm going to zoom in a wee bit on that. She's going to tilt us down a bit. Right, so that was E36 2000 for reading chassis code, right? And you want to read the engine, just go for any year of E46. So I just go for 2003, just click petrol and just go for, you can pick any M54, they're all the same, M54, B22, B25, it's a 25, right? So we just got to click read, click OK, and this is all in one OBD port. See, when you buy these other standalone looms, you only get to read the engine, so it messes you up for reading the chassis. There is a few codes on it, but whatever, it's all good. I'll just clear them. But just to show you guys this working, basically. Yeah, cause it's not got a speed signal, it's not got the E46 steering wheel, can aborted, EGS, automatic gearbox. It's a manual now, so it doesn't matter, but I'm just like showing you guys it's going to work on the one OBD port for you. And sorted. So I'm going to slip this bit in before I show, obviously, what I've done with, obviously I didn't, like, I'm just going to slip this in before I show you the next part of the video. That everything works in the one OBD port, guys, simple as that. Right, so it's tight to get me and you guys in here, right? So, like, if you can see, yeah, you can see, I can see it on the camera. The two fattest wires on the EWS box, right? So one is green with black and one is black with yellow. This is basically, this is how you bypass EWS. Only if you lose the chip out your key, when you turn the key, it's not going to turn over because it doesn't recognise the chip out the key or the chip's missing, so it won't turn the starter for you. So basically what you do is cut these two wires, I've twisted them together here, I've soldered them, and then I've covered them up. Right, so I'm not going to show you guys soldering here, but I'm going to show you what I've done. So the very end pin here is brown. Brown is an earth, right? So there's two earths which come out the OBD port, which is pin 4 and 5. These are going to get an earth to there, right? The pin next to the earth is red with yellow, and that's going to go to pin 16 on the OBD port, which is red with black. Sometimes they're just red. And then the OBD wire, which is white purple, which is pin 7 on the OBD port, is going to go to white purple, which is the next pin along. Obviously there's a pin missing here, so it's the next pin along from earth, live, miss a pin, OBD port, right? And then we've got the green white wire, which is a switched live, which is going to go to this blue wire with the yellow dots. That's a switched live. Right, so I'm going to zoom back out for a second so you can kind of see the OBD port. So like I say, earth, OBD port, 4 and 5, right, earth. Live, which is pin 16 on the OBD port, which is the second pin here. If you're not sure, you can use a voltmeter. Obviously you can put continuity test on the earth, and you can earth it here and listen for it beeping. Then you could put it on volts, and you could just put the earth on that side, the live on that side, and you'll see it getting 12 volts. And the same again, you can put the earth there and put the live there, put the key on, and you can see it getting 12 volts with the key on. That's it. So I'm gonna just cut these wires off and solder them right now, but I'm not going to show you guys. So yeah, I'll go ahead and do that, and I'll finish that. But like I said, I've had to change this guy's clocks because his clocks, because this car is a CAN bus car, I had to wire up temp and RPM to this car as well, but I have a video on that, so I'm not going to keep you guys here for that. When I first put his clocks on, the temperature goes up to red, just like it does in a e36 when you try and read the ECU and shit like that. So I've had to put a set of my own spare clocks in it, which all work. And I know how they're going to work, because when I put the key on, if you can see the temperature, it's like a way down at the bottom. When I put the key on, it will come just to the bottom of the blue. Let's see, it's moved to the bottom of the blue, back down, bottom of the blue. Where his one, as soon as you put it on, it went right to the red, and the RPM didn't do nothing. So I wired up temp and RPM to this car. I come into the car. Everything worked on the clocks except RPM and temp. So I went and took a set of clocks out one of my old drift cars outside, and I've put them in here, and that's fine. So like I say, I'm just going to solder up these wires to the OBD port, and then that's me pretty much finished. I need to sort out a couple of diagrams and that to put on the Google Drive in this video for you guys. But yeah, I think I'm just going to finish the video here. I'm going to hand this car back. He's just got a couple of water pipes to do, and that's him done with it. So this is the part where I say thanks to everybody for watching. If this video was helpful to you, please like, share, subscribe. Any questions, just drop them in the comments. I do have notifications on for YouTube, so I try and help as much as I can. Yeah, so thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next video. The next video, I've actually just got another car here right now, which is a e36 to get an m52 TU. This is basically, they're technically the same, but the TU had a cable throttle. There's some pin differences, but the engines is the same. If I took the wire loom off of that engine and put it on that, it's basically an M54. If I put that wire loom engine on that, it's basically an M52 TU. So I'm literally got to be starting this video later today once I finish this. So we're getting 2 videos in the space of 2 weeks, but that means I like to try and put, if I do a job more than once and it's a wiring job, I'd rather put it on YouTube to help somebody else do it as well. It just makes it easier down the line, because somebody asked me, how do you do an M52 TU? It saves me sitting walking them through it, whereas I could just send them a link to a video and that's it. They could just do it themselves and ask me a few questions if need be. So anyway guys, thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.